The road home stretched ahead without promise, without urgency, and without anything that might be called remarkable. It lay there in quiet patience, a narrow ribbon of dust and stone winding through fields that had long since given up trying to be anything more than still. It was late afternoon when the journey began, though late didn't feel entirely accurate. Time had loosened its grip on the day. The sun hung low, but not dramatically so. There were no golden bursts, no fiery colors, just a pale, steady light that seemed content to exist without drawing attention to itself. He walked alone. There was no particular reason for the journey to feel important. No one waited at the end with excitement. No message lingered in the air. No urgency pushed his steps forward. And yet, he walked, because the road was there, and because returning home, even quietly, always felt like something that needed to be done. The air was still, not the kind of stillness that feels tense or expectant, but a soft, settled stillness. The kind that gently presses against the skin, reminding you that nothing is in a hurry. Even the wind, if it existed at all, had decided not to interfere. On either side of the road, fields stretched endlessly. Some were empty, bare soil exposed like an unfinished thought. Others held thin patches of grass that moved just enough to suggest life, but not enough to demand attention. Occasionally, there were trees. They stood scattered, not in neat rows or purposeful lines, but in quiet independence. Their leaves barely moved. Their shadows lay flat and undisturbed, as though even darkness had grown tired of shifting. He did not count his steps. He did not measure distance. The journey wasn't about reaching, it was about continuing. A bird called out somewhere far away, just once. A single, soft note that echoed briefly before disappearing into the stillness. It didn't repeat. It didn't need to. The silence that followed was not emptier. It was simply restored. He kept walking. The road curved slightly, though not enough to hide what lay ahead. There were no surprises waiting beyond the bend, only more road, more quiet, more of the same steady, unchanging rhythm. At some point, he noticed his own breathing. Slow, even, unremarkable, it matched the pace of his steps, as though his body had quietly agreed with the world around him to not do anything too sudden. There were no vehicles, no voices, no distant sounds of life carrying across the fields. Even the insects seemed to have chosen silence over motion. The sky above was wide and pale, a soft blue that had faded into something almost colorless. Thin clouds drifted slowly, without direction, without purpose. They did not gather. They did not scatter. They simply existed, as the road did, as he did. Time moved, but gently. There was no clear way to measure it. The sun lowered slightly, shadows shifted just a little, and yet nothing felt like it was changing. It was as if the world had paused, not completely, but enough to soften everything. He passed a small house, or perhaps it was better to call it a structure. It stood near the edge of the road, quiet and closed. The windows were dark. The door remained still. There was no sign of life, but also no sign of abandonment. It existed in the same quiet state as everything else, neither active nor forgotten. He did not stop. There was nothing there that called for attention. The road continued. His footsteps made soft sounds against the dust, but even those seemed to fade quickly, as though the ground itself absorbed them out of courtesy. Further along, the fields changed slightly. There were more patches of green now, slightly thicker, slightly more alive, but still not enough to shift the mood of the journey. It was not a transformation, just a gentle variation. The air cooled just a little, not enough to notice immediately, just enough that, over time, it became different. Evening was approaching, though it did so quietly, without announcement. The light softened further, shadows lengthened, but without drama. Everything remained calm. At one point, he paused, not because he was tired, not because he needed to, just because stopping felt as natural as walking. He stood there for a moment, looking down the road behind him. It looked exactly the same as the road ahead. There was no sense of distance gained, no visible proof of progress. Only the quiet understanding that he had been walking and that he would continue. After a while, he began again. Step, step, step. The rhythm returned without effort. A faint breeze passed by, so soft it almost felt imagined. It brushed against the grass, touched the leaves of a nearby tree, and then disappeared. Nothing followed it. No stronger wind. No change. Just that one gentle movement and then stillness again. The sky shifted toward evening, not dramatically, just a gradual deepening of tone. The pale blue grew slightly dimmer. The clouds faded into the background. The sun lowered further, though it never demanded attention. He could feel the day ending, but not in a way that felt final. It was simply another quiet transition. Somewhere in the distance, a dog barked once. Then silence. The sound didn't travel far. It didn't echo. It simply existed for a moment, and then was gone. The road narrowed slightly as it approached a familiar turn. There was nothing special about it, just a small curve where the path adjusted itself around a cluster of trees. But he recognized it, not because it stood out, but because he had seen it many times before. Home was not far now, not that it made much difference to his pace. He did not walk faster. He did not slow down. The rhythm remained the same, steady, unchanging. The trees near the turn were slightly taller than the others along the road. Their branches reached outward, forming a loose canopy that softened the light even further. As he passed beneath them, the air felt cooler. The ground felt quieter. For a moment, the world seemed even more still than before. Then he emerged on the other side, and everything returned to its familiar calm. The first signs of home appeared gradually, a fence slightly worn, a narrow path branching off from the road, a small structure in the distance, barely visible against the fading light. Nothing dramatic, nothing sudden, just a quiet recognition. He turned onto the path. The ground changed beneath his feet, less dust, more packed earth. The sound of his steps shifted slightly, though it remained soft. The air felt different here, not noticeably, but enough. Familiar, the kind of familiarity that doesn't demand attention, but gently settles into place. The house stood still, as it always did. No lights yet, no movement, just a quiet presence waiting without expectation. He approached slowly, not out of hesitation, but because there was no reason to rush. The journey had never been about arriving quickly. It had been about the road itself. He reached the door, paused, not for long, just enough to feel the end of the walk. Then he stepped inside. The world outside remained unchanged. The road still stretched into the distance. The fields still rested in their quiet stillness. The sky continued its slow transition into night. Nothing had happened. Nothing remarkable. Nothing worth telling in a loud voice. And yet, something about the journey remained. A softness, a calm, a quiet sense of completion that didn't need to be explained. The long and uneventful road home had led exactly where it always did. Not to something new, but to something familiar, something steady, something still. If this gentle story helped you relax, feel free to like and subscribe for more calm and peaceful sleep stories. Heaven for Sleepers.